the madness.
Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is ME-Lumantho, and today I'm going to be doing a Fire Mage guide. Now, if you guys saw my pathing artifact, I said I was going to make a guide. I'm also going to be doing a giveaway soon if you guys didn't hear that in the pathing. I don't know when, but I will be doing it, and I don't know what it will be, whether it be a Steam card or a Blizzard giveaway, but I think it might be Steam. Might do another Blizzard one, so just make sure you just watch, I don't know. Alright, so let's get right into this Fire Mage guide. So Fire Mage is really simple. It does high damage, has high CC. The CC is the key for Fire Mage or any other class, especially if you're doing arenas or any PvP, but arenas and 3 specifically. We're not going to talk too much about CC though. We're going to talk a lot about our rotation and our talents. Now for my talents, I'm going Pyromaniac, because Pyromaniac, basically if I get a proc and then I throw out my Pyro or Flame Strike, which are my 2 insta-casts, I have an 8% increased chance to instantly reactivate Hot Streak, which I can then get another proc and throw out another Pyroblast. That's another 8% extra crit on top of that. And it's just overall so much better than the other ones. But Firestarter, I don't know, you could probably run this as well. Basically what it does is your Fireball does 80%, or it crits 100% when the target is above 85%, which is another really good way to start off your opener, because you do use Fireball. So I mean, unless you're gonna use Combustion or don't have Combustion when the target is above 85%, I wouldn't really run this. Alright guys, for your 30 tier, I'm definitely going to be running Shimmer. Now Shimmer is really good, because if you saw my artifact pathing, one of your traits actually give you 15% heals if you have it maxed for 6 seconds. They don't stack, but you do have 2 blinks, which is insane. You can use them back to back too if you wish. They're not on a global cooldown, so you can keep casting. And then your honor talent right here, which I don't have unlocked yet because I just got this guy to 110. Prismatic Cloak. After you blink, your spells have a 100% chance to miss you for 1.5 seconds, which is insane. That's 3 seconds if you do a double blink. That's a full poly into a DB, whatever you want. And that's just a great way to get some CC off, or just live a little bit while your partner is, getting out of his CC. The only bad thing about running Shimmer is that you cannot blink out of stunts, but that's fine overall. It's definitely worth running. If you don't want to run this, I would run Cold Snap, because Cauterize is really, it never really has been that good, but if you really want to not run Shimmer, you could run Cold Snap. Alright, now for my 45 tier, I am running Incanter's Flow, and basically what this does is, it's not RNG, but it cycles through 4% up to 20% increased damage while I'm in combat. And that's really good, especially if you can set it up when it's at 20% and just go with Combustion and start bursting like crazy. Now, another really good thing would be Rune of Power, but the thing with Rune of Power is it increases your damage by 50%, but you have to be standing inside of the little rune, and the rune has to be casted down. So that's the only bad thing with it. Other than that, it would be good maybe if you're trying to do a big burst for some kind of video or something, but those are the only 2 that I would run. Mirror Images, maybe if you're trying to kite through pillars. I don't really see a point in using these, considering they can easily get swapped onto and killed. Now for my 60 tier, I'm running Flame On, just because when I'm doing my burst rotation, which I will show you soon in the video, Flame On just lets my burst keep going when I have Combustion. And if it wasn't for Flame On, I wouldn't get the most out of my Combustion. I'm going to be honest, guys, because Controlled Burn definitely seems good, but Flame On is just so much better, considering you can do 2 Fire Blasts and then Pyro and then Flame On again and then Fire Blast, Pyro again. And that is so good, because if you time that right and you know how to do your rotation, you're getting procs back to back to back. And what Controlled Burn is, when you gain a Heating Up proc, which is the small one right here, you have a 10% chance to instantly reactivate Hot Streak, which is another proc, but it's only 10%. That's the thing, with Flame On, it's guaranteed procs back. Now for your 75 one, it's really up to you whatever you want to run. Ice Flows allows you to run and cast. You can cast anything, and it's not on a global cooldown, so you can just cast and apply this as you're going. Keep in mind that it can be dispelled. Ring of Frost is more for an AoE, maybe on pets or a big target. BGs probably can be used in 3s. I remember I used it It was actually in a really funny way. In my last video, I believe, I rooted someone and then they were completely DR'd from my polys, so I couldn't even Ring of Frost them, but I froze them in there, and then I put a Ring of Frost in them, and they didn't move because they thought if they went over to the side, they were going to get frozen, but little did they know they were on DRs, so it can be a good distraction. Now, Ice Ward is mainly for melees. What it does just gives you 2 Frost Nova charges rather than 1. You already have 1, but with all the mobility and the blinks they have and all the like CC, I don't really see much like in running this. Now for my 90 tier, I'm running Unstable Magic because my Fireball has a 25% chance to implode on impact, which is a pretty good percentage, and it does 50% additional damage to the target and enemies around it, which splashes for 8 through 8 yards, which is really good. I would run Living Bomb if it wasn't for this, probably because Living Bomb does do a lot of overall damage, but Unstable Magic is just the way to go right now. Living Bomb, it's just an overall tick of damage and then it explodes to enemies within 10 yards. Used to be really good, not as good anymore. Now Flame Strike, or not Flame Strike, but Flame Patch, what it does is my Flame Strike leaves behind a patch of flames which burns enemies within it for 48k fire damage over 8 seconds. Now this might be good for some PvE type stuff, but for PvP, considering this is PvE guide, except for the rotation, I don't really see this being good for PvP, because who's going to stand in your Flame Strike, you know, in your path? If they're smart, they would never do that. And then Flame Strike again, who's really going to be using that in PvP unless you're doing Battlegrounds? But 2s or 3s, I would never use Flame Strike unless everyone is stacked. Now for my 100 talent, I'm running Meteor because Meteor does a lot of AoE damage, huge burst, and you can easily time it with your combustion and your burst as you're going ham. And the cooldown of it is pretty short too. It's not super long, so it is why I like it. Alright guys, so with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go into the burst rotation. If anything, I'm just going to stop commentating over it and then I'll voice over it during the rotation, just so I could go a little bit slower, slow-mo it down a little bit, just so you guys see what I'm doing. But for now, I'll talk over it. If not, I'll just, you know, and do it while I did. Alright guys, so basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to just set up, just pretend I'm going in from an invis. I go up to a target, I'm going to DB, I'm going to fireball. As soon as my fireball goes in, I'm going to fire blast, pyro, just to get my proc, flame on, pyro, flame, or fire blast, pyro, and I'm going to pyro into my fire bat to get another insta proc. And keep in mind, with your combust, you can still cast any spell and get a guaranteed proc. And basically what you're going to want to do is you're just going to fireball, combust. As soon as your fireball's going to go, fire blast, and then pyro, fire blast, pyro, flame on, fire blast, pyro, and just keep it going back and forth. And if you run out of everything because you did your rotation so quick, you can cast a scorch because it is the fastest thing, and then throw out another pyro. And then in the middle of that, when you first get your DB off, like let's say you're going out of invis and you first get your DB off, you can throw down a meteor into a root before you actually start popping your combust into your burst, which it's going to allow you to get that first initial big damage, which is definitely going to help you while you're bursting. Alright guys, now on to the honor talents. I currently don't have anything unlocked. Like I said, I just hit 110, but I will show you what you should be running, or what I think is probably the best one for me to run. So for the first one, you're obviously going to run Gladius Medallion or Relentless. Relentless is better for Battlegrounds. It's not too good for arenas because you need your trinket for arenas, especially if you're trying to sit a long CC. Relentless is going to help you, but sometimes you just need to get out of it instantly and just keep on going. So I would go Gladius Medallion for arena and Relentless if you want for Battlegrounds, especially if you're an orc, get the extra reduced CC. But if you're not an orc, I wouldn't really even bother or trying to run Relentless either. Even in Battlegrounds, just run your trinket. For second tier, I'm running Train of Thought right now, which is terrible, but it's all I have right now. Train of Thought, it increased my damage by 15%, which is great, but I can't be attacked in order for this effect to go off, which is really bad. Probably for PvE it would be good, but I'm definitely going to be running Mind Quickness or Initiation. Now Initiation, crit chance of your damage abilities and attacks increase by 30% on targets at or above 80% health. Now this is one of those abilities or talents that are like, they really help you get your boost damage off, just like one of your talents here. But Mind Quickness I'm probably going to be using just because I like the haste, especially when I'm trying to get my burst off. And it, you know, I hate the talents that have to do with being above a certain amount of health, because I'm obviously like, I'm gonna nuke them down quick. So this, it's just gonna get me like 1 extra proc, which really I don't really even need, because with my combust I get insta procs back to back to back anyways. Now for my third tier, I'm definitely gonna be running Prismatic Cloak. After I blink, spells have a 100% chance to miss you for 1.5. Meaning you can't be countered, you can't be DB'd, you can't be frozen, you can't be anything. So you can blink and then you can keep on casting. So for example, you're trying to cast a poly, you blink and then they try to kick you, but you're immune. You can't even be kicked when you blink, and you have 2 shimmers. So that's 3 seconds of being immune to damage. Now for 4th tier, I'm going to be running Temporal Shield, because you pop Temporal Shield at full health, someone's bursting on you, you go down 10%, heals you back to full health when it is done. Now that is really great, helps you out. Now this one right here could be good, but the spell steal cooldown is way too long, 30 seconds, but it does take everything off the target. Now Dense Ice increases the amount of your ice barrier absorbs by 60%, but your ice barrier can only be absorbed physical damage, which isn't really good considering your ice barrier right now reduces the damage of everything. Plus, if you're running Dense Ice, keep in mind that ice barrier can be dispelled, but so can Temporal Shield. Now for the 5th one, I'm going to be running Tinder, because if you don't cast Fireball for 8 seconds, your next Fireball will deal 30% increased damage and 50% reduced cast time damage. Now this is really good, because you only really cast Fireball at the beginning when you're doing your big damage, your burst, you're going into combust, because that is how you get your rotation going. And then after that, your combust is 8 seconds, so you're definitely not casting Fireball within those 8 seconds. And then once you're out your combust, you can then DB and go in for a Fireball setup, which would be another 50% increased damage, or 30% increased damage, and 50% reduced cast time, which is really good. Now for the last tier, Greater Pyroblast can be good if you get the right setup, but honestly it's just way too long cooldown and stuff like that. Takes a lot of mana as well. Sometimes you run out of mana actually, surprisingly, if you're spell stealing a lot. So I don't know, it's really not something that you want to be running. You can easily counter it, LOS it, anything like that. Flame Cannon, you have to be standing still in combat for 2 seconds, which is what I don't like, but if you can get it off, it can be good, considering it does stack up to 5 seconds, or not 5 seconds, but 5 times for 5 seconds. But I'm definitely going to be running Firestarter, because it reduced the cooldown of my combustion every time that I Fireball, and if I line that up with Tinder, getting my 8-second Fireballs in for more damage and reduced cooldown on Fireball, it definitely goes in well with Firestarter, which it just gets me my burst back faster and going with more damage overall. That's about all that I have for this guide though, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this rotation and the talent setup. If you did, make sure to toss a thumbs up. I am going to be doing a giveaway soon, as you guys may have heard already from last few videos. But that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Make the ground shake.